Hello, this is Chill Computer Guy. We're here in Bitwig Studio. We are going to take a look at the Nova P67. It's a free plugin. It's a compressor, more of a dynamics. You can input a sidechain signal. Before we get started, I just want to apologize. I'm getting all sorts of rattle on the low end. I don't know if it's the sound card or the headset I'm wearing, but something is going on with the. I've tried to low pass it out, all the way up to 3 kilohertz, and it just is there. Let me play. Hear that rattle? It's in the kick drum. And I've tried everything. The rattle's not coming through in the monitors or anything else, but it just happens to be coming through. This is the only headset I actually have right now. I'm going to be upgrading the equipment. But I do want to apologize ahead of time for the just annoying crackly noise. Hopefully you can tolerate it, because this particular product review this is one of my favorite products I've ever reviewed, mainly because it's free, but also it's a really, really unique visual piece. So as you can see here, I have a kick drum and a pad, and what I'm going to do is sidechain the pad with the kick drum. So easy enough, right? Now you can use the stock Dynamics plugin, and you can do it that way. But the Nova 67P, which is this piece right here, this is a VST plugin. This is actually free. And the thing that's great about this particular plugin is it's very visual. You can really see the side chain signal, and you can really kind of get it has a spectrum analyzer built in, and it also has a little level for the side chain. Now the great thing about it has the drop down. Now a lot of third-party VST compressor dynamic plugins with Bitwig Studio, they don't have this little drop down. This is the drop down where you can put your side chain signal in. I'm going to use the kick drum pre, which is what I recommend, kick pre. And so now the kick drum pre is going to be the side chain source. Now this also has some presets, some basic presets, and then of course your normal dynamic plugins or compressors. A lot of them don't have this drop down. This drop down menu is really hard to find. Now I know you can use the audio mod, and you can use the stock dynamics to sidechain, but I definitely have my favorite compressors to sidechain with, and a lot of them with Bitwig Studio you really can't do it because you don't have the drop down. The kick drum, come in and use that as a side chain as opposed to some other technique. So enough of me rambling. This is the interface right here. You'll see you have a nice display from 20 hertz all the way up to 20 kilohertz, and it has a high pass filter built right in. You double click it and you instantly have a high pass filter. You click it again, you have an 18 dB slope or a 24 dB slope, and it also has a low pass filter. That one's only a 6 dB slope. That's the only option you have with that. But you can throw this on your chain, and it's a quick high pass low pass filter, but it does so much more. You can actually control where the side chain is coming in, what frequency. But if you pull this up, you can actually make it so the deepest part, the low end of the kick drum, is not affecting the side chain. It's only the high end. And so this is basically masking out the low frequency from the side chain, which is really quite cool. It's like putting an EQ before the side chain, but only having the EQ affect the side chain signal. It's basically like duplicating your kick drum and then having an EQ on the parallel before you go into the side. Blah blah blah. Anyway, it's a really useful thing. It's basically a high pass filter for your side chain signal. You have an attack and a release from 1 millisecond all the way up to 100 milliseconds, pretty standard. 10 milliseconds to 1,000 milliseconds for release. And the great thing about this is you can actually see these when we run a signal through here. You can actually see these affecting the red line. There's actually a red line that comes in that represents the side chain signal, and if you increase the release, you'll see that moving a little bit slower, as opposed to, and the same with attack. Now the ratio, you go 1:1 all the way up to 10:1. Of course, that's pretty self-explanatory, and then your threshold is over here. And then this is a gain level for your EQ. And these EQs, this is the square one, I believe, is the shelf. You can double click them to turn them off and on. So that's going to be a high shelf there. Double click it, turn it off. And this triangle, I guess, is this the low shelf? That's going to be the low shelf. And so very nice. And then these of course are how do you control the Q? I'm not really sure. How do you control the Q? Yeah, I don't know if you can control the Q. But yeah, so it's basically like a five band parametric EQ with a high pass, low pass filter. So technically, I guess that makes it 7 bands now, doesn't it? Well, these are shelves. Can you make these bells? I don't know if you can make these bells. But anyway, it's a very very nice EQ. And this is kind of cool because you can control, I believe you can control the gain after the EQ. I'm not really sure actually what this is for. Maybe we'll find out today. All right, so here's what we got. We got the pad, and then we have it running through the Nova 67P. And we have for the side chain signal, we have the kick drum, which is right up here. We just have a 4 on the floor. Like I say, I really apologize for the grainy, something's going on with the high end of this particular sound card that this is plugged into. I apologize for that. Like I say, I'm working on getting better equipment for these tutorials. Been busy, and time is not there, and money is not there, but we'll get it going. Let's go ahead and get this thing going, and we'll go show you the Nova 67P. Okay, so again, the pad is playing, kick drum is side chaining. Now you can see this red line represents the side chain. It's barely moving. That's because side chain is internal. So if we switch this to external, now you can see that line really going. Now, this, as I increase it, that line's going to go a little bit less because now it's responding to 200 hertz, 160 hertz, 120 hertz. And then once we get down in the 40-50 range, then it's really responding to the meat of the kick drum. And so that's why it's moving quite a bit more. Let's increase the ratio. And then the threshold. And you can really hear that pump now. See, that red line represents the side chain signal. Really cool stuff. Let's go ahead and take this down to like about 50 hertz. And now let's watch the attack. Watch this red line as I increase the attack. You can actually see that red line responding to the attack. So let's go back to a fast attack. Same with the release. It's taking forever to release. It's taking forever to let go of the signal. And so really good. Let's just go ahead and listen to the pad by itself. See, and I'm still hearing that scratchy without the kick drum. Weird. Now the EQ, I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. I'm not sure what that level does. Does it tell you? It doesn't really tell you a stat on where you're low passing at either. Oh, I guess you can tell this red line, so this would be 20, 50, so that's probably about 30, 37, 38 or somewhere in there. Let's play this with the kick. You know, not a bad little side chain signal. I have to stop that because of the scratchiness. I do apologize for the scratchiness. Because of that, I'm going to actually make this tutorial fairly slow. Check out the Nova 67P. A link to the website to download this for free in the description. Also, I have another little freebie, which is kind of similar, but it's more of a dynamic EQ. This is the, get rid of this. This is the Nova Parallel Dynamics Equalizer. This is a gem as well. So now you can see this is the Nova Parallel Dynamics Equalizer. This is a really, really beautiful plugin, and it's a 4-node EQ. And you can see that those are dynamically changing. So you can really dynamically control that. Turn on the threshold, increase the ratio. And again, again. Let's crank this pad up. Oh god, that's dirty. Oh man, that's such a scratchy thing. I really apologize for that scratchy. And also this has a dry-wet mix, so you can do some parallel compression with this thing. It has a high and low pass filter. You can control the curve right here. It's got a 6 of 12, 24, 72 dB. Holy cow, that's a freaking steep little curve there. Oh, look at that. That's basically cutting it right straight, isn't it? And then the high pass slope or low pass slope, you got 6, 12, 20, 72. So you can do some really precise cutting with that there. Nice. How about that for a notch filter? There's a notch filter for you. Tolerate that scratchiness, and I'm sure you can't tolerate it anymore as well. I do promise I will fix the equipment. I'm using like a little $3 frickin' headset. My other one I threw it in the bathtub on accident. Actually, it's just... Anyway, this is Chill Computer Guy. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. We have many more product reviews. I have stuff it's just a matter of putting it in the editor, cutting it up. I don't want to waste your time. I want to cut the stuff up and make it clean. So it's going to jump all over the place, but it's all in the editing because who wants some boring-ass, long-winded shit? All right, so please subscribe, and we'll try to see you next week.